I'm an 18-year-old who essentially came into this world against all odds. My biological mom, a wealthy woman with a firm plan that originally didn't include kids or marriage, met my dad under casual circumstances. They connected at a work event, shared similar job types but worked in different locations, and decided to start seeing each other. Despite precautions, a trifecta of birth control methods, I happened. My existence was a surprise, a statistical improbability that upended more than one life. When she found out she was pregnant, my bio mom planned not to keep me. But my dad, who was secretly married and facing near impossible odds of having children with his wife, persuaded her to continue the pregnancy under the condition that he would take full responsibility post-birth. This agreement included a complete handoff to my dad. No parenting, no visitation, just child support. Growing up, I was raised under the illusion that I was the biological child of my dad and his wife, my stepmom. This illusion shattered when they had a miracle baby, a boy, my brother, who became the apple of their eye. It was clear from my earliest memories that I was a secondary consideration, part of the family by circumstance rather than by choice. As I grew older, the dynamics within our home grew more strained. Family gatherings, holidays, even casual dinners often highlighted my outsider status. I would be present, but not included, asked to take photos rather than be in them, a subtle but clear message of my place in the hierarchy. The situation only worsened when my siblings were born. I watched, sidelined, as they received the warmth and acceptance that was never extended to me. At 13, a pivotal year, I met my biological grandmother by chance. Discovering she had a granddaughter she'd never known about, she reached out, and we formed an instant connection. She offered me something I hadn't truly experienced: unconditional acceptance. When I decided to move in with her, my dad and stepmom readily agreed, almost relieved to simplify their family picture. Years passed, and I began to carve out a life with my grandmother, one where I felt valued and seen. Then, unexpectedly, my bio mom passed away, leaving me her entire estate with the stipulation that I pursue a business degree. This inheritance was not just substantial, it was transformative. Overnight, I shifted from worrying about college tuition and student loans to navigating wealth management and estate planning. Yet, just as I was adjusting to this new reality, my dad and stepmom re-entered the picture, suddenly very interested in my finances. They argued that since they raised me for 13 years, I should contribute to my brother's education, specifically his aspiration to attend an Ivy League college. This put me in a painful position. On one hand, I understand the role they played in my life, however complicated. On the other, this inheritance from my bio mom feels like a final message, a gesture meant to secure my future and honor her wishes. Now, I find myself at a crossroads, weighing my desire to honor my bio mom's intentions against the guilt and pressure from my dad and stepmom. Sharing the wealth could ease some familial tensions, but it could also feel like betraying the last wishes of a woman who, in her own way, tried to make amends for a past decision. As I ponder these choices, I realize this isn't just about money. It's about loyalty, about recognizing where my obligations truly lie, and about establishing boundaries that respect both my future and my past. This is about more than just being fair. It's about being true to myself and the legacies of those who have shaped my life, for better or worse. This decision will undoubtedly shape my future relationships and my sense of self as I step further into adulthood and independence. So am I the a-hole if I don't share the money? Now for the top comments, the short answer is no. You wouldn't be the a-hole if you don't want to share it. That is your money. And let's face it, they don't deserve anything. Sure, they raised you for 13 years, but I'm pretty sure that if they could have gotten rid of you before that after their son was born, they would have. So on that note, no, absolutely not. You do not have to share your money with them. Now, taking into account that you say that you love your brother dearly, and he has never treated you any differently, and also that money is no longer an object for you. Maybe you could help him out, but leaving your parents out of the process. And what I mean by this is that if you do want to help him out, then you pay for the university. Don't pass the money to them for them to pay. You do it directly. And what do you guys think? Update 1. So, as you all know from my last post, I was gearing up for a crucial meeting with the lawyer and trustee handling my biological mom's estate. They laid everything out on the table, explaining all the ins and outs of her will and what that meant for me. It turns out my mom was incredibly specific about the conditions of the inheritance. I absolutely have to go to business school and complete my degree to claim and fully control the inheritance. This detail is super important because it essentially ties my hands when it comes to financial decisions, especially concerning sharing any wealth with my dad and stepmom. Thanks to a lot of reflection and some solid advice from all of you, I've come to see that I really don't have any moral obligation to support my dad and stepmom financially. Your insights and support helped me realize that my responsibility is to honor my mom's wishes and look out for my own future first. But the plot thickens with my brother. We had a deep and honest conversation about what he really wants for his future. Turns out he's not interested in the Ivy League route at all. His passion lies in the arts, and he's been dreaming of going to art school. The problem? My stepmom outright refused to support that dream. She has this fixed idea that a career in the arts isn't viable and pushed for something more traditionally prestigious or lucrative. Seeing his disappointment, I made him an offer. Once I'm done with my business degree, I'd be more than willing to help fund his education in art school. He was really touched by the offer and immediately accepted. Full of excitement, he shared the news with our dad, expecting perhaps some understanding, if not support. Unfortunately, the reaction was the exact opposite. My dad and stepmom were furious. They've always had this picture in their mind of him going into a field like law or medicine, something that, in their eyes, guarantees a hefty paycheck, and in turn a way to support them in the future. When my brother stood his ground and insisted on pursuing his true passion, it led to a massive blowout. The argument escalated to the point where my brother decided he couldn't live in such a restrictive and unsupportive environment anymore. He's 18, legally an adult, but the decision to move out was huge. He didn't have a concrete plan, so I stepped in. There was no way I was going to let him struggle on his own, or worse, end up with nowhere to stay. He's now living with me. It's a big adjustment having him here all the time, but it feels right. I've been helping him get to and from school and balancing that with my work until I can get my business school registration sorted out. It's a lot to manage, but it's worth it to see him more at peace and excited about his future. In the midst of all this, I've been reflecting a lot on what family means and how to best support the people you care about. It's not just about giving money or making sure they follow a path you think is best for them. It's about listening, understanding, and empowering them to make choices that truly reflect who they are. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to comment and offer advice. It's made a huge difference knowing there are people out there who care enough to share their thoughts and support. Here's to hoping that both my brother and I can forge paths that make us happy and proud. And here's to navigating the ups and downs of life with a little help from friends and a lot of personal resolve. Now for the top comments before the update. Wow, OP, this is a major twist. Your parents lost their miracle baby now, and he's actually going to live with you. I think it's great that you want to help him out, and it serves your parents' rights for being A to themselves. So, Opie, he is wishing you and your brother all the best in the upcoming future so that you can go to business school, finish it, and then help your brother out. And good riddance to your parents. Update 2. Since the last time I posted, things have gotten pretty wild with my family situation, and a lot has happened. I appreciate all your advice and support. It's been super helpful in navigating this mess. So let's dive into the latest chapter of this saga. After my last post, the pressure from my dad and stepmom didn't let up. They doubled down. They called me again, even more insistently this time, demanding that I give them half of my inheritance to support my brother's education and their own financial needs. This got me really frustrated. I snapped and told them off, explaining that even if I wanted to help, my hands were tied because of the stipulations in my biological mom's will. They didn't buy it and accused me of lying, which really ticked me off. Fed up with the accusations, I decided to get some legal backup. I met with my lawyer and the trustee handling my biological mom's estate to discuss everything in detail. They confirmed that my hands were indeed tied. The will explicitly stated that I need to complete my business degree before I can fully access and control the inheritance. Armed with this information, I called my dad back to lay out the facts, hoping it would help him understand the situation better. Unfortunately, the conversation went south, fast. He accused me of hiding behind legal excuses to avoid helping the family. That stung, but I held my ground, sticking to the facts and reiterating my commitment to honoring my biological mom's wishes. Just when I thought everyone in my family was against me, my brother came through. He called me up after overhearing my conversation with our dad and expressed his support for my decision. He was really upset about how our parents were treating me and made it clear he didn't agree with them. Knowing he was on my side was a huge relief and really helped me feel less alone in all this. With all the drama at home, I threw myself into my studies. I officially started business school and have been loving it. The courses are challenging but super interesting, and they've been a great distraction from the family issues. Plus, I feel more empowered knowing I'm gaining the knowledge to manage my inheritance responsibly once I graduate. The family tensions weren't just affecting me, they were hitting my brother hard too. He's been struggling with our parents' constant pressure and criticism, especially about his future plans. It's been an adjustment having him live with me full time, but honestly, it's been really good. We've been supporting each other, and it's brought us a lot closer. Having my brother around has been a mix of fun and challenging. We've set up a little study area where we both can work on our stuff. He's really into art, so he sketches while I hit the books. We cook meals together, and in the evenings, we've been binge-watching shows or talking about life. It's kind of nice having him around. It feels like we're building our own little team. As for the future, it's still a bit murky. My relationship with my parents is on shaky ground. I hope they'll come to understand why I've made the choices I have and that we can find a way to mend things. But for now, I'm focusing on my studies, supporting my brother, and just trying to build a stable, happy life for us both. I can't say enough how much I appreciate all of you here. Your comments and messages have been a lifeline during some really tough times. I'll keep you updated on how things progress with school, life with my brother, and everything else. Here's to overcoming challenges and making the best out of the hand we're dealt. Thanks for being part of my journey. Update 3. So here I am, deep into my business school grind, juggling assignments like a circus act, when out of nowhere I get this call from my dad. I thought maybe he just wanted to catch up or something, but oh boy, was I wrong. Dad: hey, we've been thinking, and we believe it's time for you to start taking on some family responsibilities. Me: okay, I'm managing mom's estate and focusing on school. What more do I need to do? Dad: well, your stepmom and I are planning to buy a new house, and we think you should contribute. Actually, we expect you to cover half the cost. My jaw hit the floor. Half the cost of a house? Just like that? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Me: Dad, I'm a student. How do you expect me to afford that? Plus, you know I can't touch the inheritance until I finish my degree. Dad: that's your problem. You need to figure it out. You owe us. The call ended pretty much there, with me in total disbelief. The level of entitlement was just... wow. Still reeling from the call, I reached out to my lawyer and a couple of close buddies to get their take and some advice. Everyone agreed it was an unreasonable ask, and reassured me that I was right to feel blindsided. My lawyer confirmed again that the conditions of the will were clear and legally binding. I couldn't use the money even if I wanted to. Knowing I needed to address this head-on, I set up a meeting with my parents at a local coffee shop, a neutral place where hopefully we could talk things out more calmly. The conversation was intense and emotional. Me: I need to understand why you think it's reasonable to ask me to pay for half of your new house. Dad: because we raised you. It's only fair you help us out now that you have the means. Me: but I literally don't have the means. The money is locked up until I graduate. Besides, that's not how family should work. You don't just raise a kid expecting payback like this. Stepmom: you're just being selfish. After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us? We went back and forth like this for a while, but it was clear they weren't really listening. They were more interested in what they could get out of me. After the heated coffee shop meetup, I knew I had to lay down some firm boundaries. Me: look, I'm focusing on my future right now, and I will not be pressured into jeopardizing my finances by breaking the terms of my inheritance. I'm not going to pay for your house or anything else like that. I need to be responsible with this money for my own future. It was super tough to stand my ground like that, especially with family. They were pretty upset, my dad especially, but I knew I had to stick to my guns for my own good. So, yeah, the situation with my parents is pretty tense right now. I'm not sure how things are going to evolve from here, but I'm prepared for it to be a bit rocky for a while. Meanwhile, I'm throwing myself into my studies and planning for a future where I make my own decisions about my life and my money. Thanks a ton to everyone here for your support and advice through all this. It's been so helpful to have a place to vent and get feedback. I'll keep you all posted on any new developments. Fingers crossed for less drama and more peace moving forward. Here's to staying strong and making choices that are right for us. Update 4. So, after I stood my ground about not paying for half of their new house, I thought my parents might back off a bit. But nope, they came back with an even more outrageous request. I was just getting home from class when my phone rang. It was my dad again. Dad: we need to talk. Me: sighing. What now? Dad: your stepmom and I have been talking, and we think it's only fair that you give us a monthly allowance. Me: what? A monthly allowance? Are you serious? Dad: yes, you're going to have all this money soon. It's not unreasonable for you to help out your family regularly. I was stunned. They weren't backing down, they were doubling down. Completely overwhelmed, I reached out to my lawyer again to explain the new demand. She reassured me that legally, my parents had no right to any of the inheritance, and that I was under no obligation to give them money, especially not a monthly allowance. I also talked to my brother about it. He was just as shocked and angry as I was. He told me he couldn't believe how entitled our parents were acting, and that he supported me 100%. I decided to have another sit down with my parents, but this time, I brought my lawyer along for backup. We met at their house, and it was clear from the start that things were going to be tense. Dad, noticing my lawyer. Why did you bring her? Me, because I want to make sure we're all clear on what's legal and what's not. Lawyer, calmly. Mr. and Mrs., last name. Your son is under no legal obligation to provide you with an allowance or any other financial support. The terms of the inheritance are clear, and until he completes his degree, the money is not accessible for discretionary spending. Stepmom, angrily. So you're just going to leave us struggling while you sit on a fortune? Me. I'm not sitting on anything. I'm following the rules set out in the will, and honestly, this constant pressure isn't helping anyone. I need to focus on my education and my future. The meeting ended with my parents furious, and my lawyer and I leaving with a sense of grim satisfaction. It felt good to have backup, but it also felt terrible to see just how far my parents were willing to go for money. A few days after the meeting, things took another turn for the worse. I was studying when I got a series of texts from my brother. He had overheard our parents talking about hiring a lawyer to try and contest the will, claiming that I wasn't fit to manage the inheritance. Brother, they're talking about saying you're irresponsible and not capable of handling the money. It's ridiculous. Me, are you serious? They can't actually do that, can they? Brother, I don't know, but it sounds like they're serious about it. I contacted my lawyer immediately and explained the situation. She assured me that contesting the will on those grounds would be extremely difficult, especially since I'm already in business school and managing my responsibilities well. However, we needed to be prepared for anything. We started gathering all the documentation to show that I was following the terms of the will and handling everything responsibly. This included my school records, the estate's financial statements, and even character references from my professors and friends. Throughout all this, my brother has been a rock. He's been supportive, helping me with everything from gathering documents to just being there when I needed to vent. We've grown even closer through this mess, and having him on my side has been invaluable. We've been continuing to live together, and it's been a big adjustment, but also a positive one. We've set up a good routine, balancing our schoolwork and making sure we're both taking care of ourselves. It feels like we're building a new, stronger family unit, just the two of us. Right now, we're in a bit of a holding pattern, waiting to see if my parents actually follow through with their threats to contest the will. It's stressful, but I'm focusing on my studies and trying to keep things as normal as possible. I've also started thinking about what life will look like once I finish my degree and gain full control of the inheritance. I want to make sure I use the money wisely and in a way that honors my biological mom's wishes. This whole experience has been a massive learning curve. I've learned a lot about standing up for myself, setting boundaries, and the importance of having a strong support system. It's been tough, but I feel like I'm coming out of this stronger and more determined to create a better future for myself and my brother. Thank you all for your continued support and advice. Your words have been a huge help in navigating this craziness. I'll keep you updated on what happens next. Here's to hoping for some peace and stability in the near future. Update 5. So after I told my parents I wouldn't give them money, they actually went ahead and hired a lawyer to contest my inheritance. They were trying to argue that I wasn't capable of handling the money and wanted control over it themselves. I couldn't believe it was happening. I talked to my lawyer, and she reassured me that their case was weak, but we still needed to be prepared. We gathered all the evidence we could, my school records, financial statements, and even character references from my professors and friends. It was a lot of work, but I felt confident that we were ready to defend my position. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I was super nervous. My parents were there with their lawyer, and I had mine by my side. The judge listened to both sides. My parents' lawyer tried to make me look like an irresponsible teenager who couldn't manage money, but we had a strong case. When it was our turn, my lawyer presented all the evidence. She showed the judge my excellent grades, how I was responsibly handling the estate's finances, and even brought in a couple of my professors who testified to my maturity and dedication. After a long and tense session, the judge finally made a ruling. He dismissed my parents' case, stating that I was clearly capable of managing the inheritance and that there was no legal basis for their claims. It was a huge relief. My parents were furious with the judge's decision. They stormed out of the courtroom without even looking at me. It was a bittersweet victory. I was glad the case was dismissed, but it hurt to see my parents acting like this. A few days after the court hearing, I got an unexpected visit. It was my dad, but he was alone this time. He looked exhausted and defeated. Dad, sighing, "Can we talk?" Me, warily. "Okay, what's going on?" Dad, "I've been doing a lot of thinking since the hearing. I realize we've been wrong pushing you like this. It's hard for us to accept everything that's happened." Me, surprised. You think? Dad, I know we've put you through a lot and I'm sorry. Your stepmom and I, we've been under a lot of stress, but that's no excuse for what we've done. We talked for a long time. He explained that he and my stepmom were facing financial difficulties and were desperate. They saw my inheritance as a way out, but they didn't realize the harm they were causing me. He apologized sincerely, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like he was being genuine. Me. I appreciate you saying that, but it's going to take time to rebuild trust. You can't just expect everything to go back to normal overnight. Dad, I understand. I just hope we can start somewhere. After our talk, I agreed to have a family meeting with both my dad and stepmom. It was tense, but necessary. We laid everything out on the table. Our feelings, our frustrations, and our hopes for the future. My stepmom apologized too, and while I'm still wary, it felt like a step in the right direction. Throughout all this, my brother has been my rock. Living together has brought us closer, and we've been able to support each other in ways we never did before. We've got a good routine going, balancing our schoolwork and life. It feels like we're creating our own little family unit, and it's been a bright spot amidst all the chaos. With the legal battle behind me and a tentative truce with my parents, I'm focusing on my future. I'm working hard in business school, planning for the day I can fully control my inheritance. I want to honor my biological mom's wishes and use the money wisely, maybe even start a business of my own. Just when I thought things were finally calming down, I got a surprise call. It was from my biological mom's lawyer. He had found some old letters and documents from my mom that she wanted me to have once I turned 18. He asked if he could come by and drop them off. I was curious and agreed. The lawyer arrived a few days later with a box full of letters and documents. I spent hours reading through them. There were letters from my mom talking about her hopes and dreams for me, her regrets about not being in my life, and advice for the future. It was overwhelming but also incredibly comforting. It felt like she was reaching out to me from the past, trying to guide me. This whole experience has taught me so much about resilience, boundaries, and the importance of having a strong support system. It's been tough, but I feel like I'm coming out of this stronger and more determined to create a better future for myself and my brother. Thank you all for your unwavering support and advice. Your encouragement has been a beacon of light through some of the darkest times. I'll keep you updated on how things progress. Here's to hoping for more stability, peace, and happiness moving forward. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm focusing on my education, rebuilding trust with my family, and making sure my brother and I have a stable and happy life. It's been a crazy journey, but I'm hopeful for what the future holds. Thanks again, everyone, for sticking with me through all of this. Your support means the world to me, and I'll be sure to keep you posted on any new developments. Here's to brighter days ahead. Update 6. Hey everyone, it's time for what I think will be the final update. After all the ups and downs, twists and turns, I'm finally at a place where things are starting to settle down and look brighter. Here's what's happened since my last post. This is going to be a long one, so grab some snacks and get comfy. After my dad's sincere apology, we started the long process of rebuilding our relationship. It wasn't easy, and it definitely didn't happen overnight. We had a lot of deep conversations, some arguments, and plenty of moments where it felt like we were making progress and then sliding back. But over time, we started to understand each other better. Me, during one of our talks. I need you to understand how hurtful it was when you and stepmom tried to take my inheritance. It felt like you were valuing money over our relationship. Dad, I get that now. We were desperate and scared about our future. It doesn't excuse what we did, but I want you to know we regret it deeply. Me. It's going to take time to rebuild trust. You can't just expect everything to go back to normal overnight. Dad, I understand. I just hope we can start somewhere. We took things slow, meeting up regularly to talk and spend time together. Sometimes we would just go for a walk or grab a coffee. Other times we would sit down and really dig into our feelings and frustrations. It was hard, but it felt like we were making real progress. Meanwhile, my brother and I continued to grow closer. Living together has been a great experience. We've developed a solid routine, balancing school, work, and downtime. We've even started a few projects together, like fixing up our apartment and planning a trip for when things settle down. Brother, while painting a wall. You know, I think we've done pretty well for ourselves, all things considered. Me, laughing. Yeah, who knew we'd make such a good team? We turned our apartment into a cozy and inviting space filled with personal touches that made it feel like home. We hung up some of my brother's artwork on the walls, and I set up a small office area where I could focus on my studies. It felt good to create a space that was entirely our own. Business school has been intense but rewarding. I'm learning so much and feeling more confident about managing my inheritance and planning for my future. The letters from my biological mom have been a source of inspiration and guidance. She had so much wisdom and love to share, even from afar. One of my favorite letters was one she wrote when she first found out she was pregnant. She talked about her hopes and dreams for me, and how much she wanted me to have a happy and successful life. It made me feel connected to her in a way I never had before. A heart-to-heart with my stepmom. One of the biggest challenges was mending my relationship with my stepmom. She had been the most aggressive about the money, and it took a lot for me to even want to talk to her. But eventually, we had a heart-to-heart. Stepmom, tearfully, I've been so wrong. I was blinded by our financial struggles and fear. I never meant to hurt you like this. Me, I appreciate you saying that. It's going to take time, but I'm willing to try and move past this if you are. Stepmom, I understand. I just want us to be a family again. We started meeting up for coffee and chatting about everyday things, slowly rebuilding our relationship. It wasn't always easy, but it felt good to be making progress. We talked about our feelings and frustrations, and slowly, we started to understand each other better. With the legal battles and family drama behind me, I'm looking ahead. I'm focusing on finishing my degree and then taking full control of my inheritance. I've started drafting a business plan for a company I want to start, something that aligns with my passions and honors my biological mom's legacy. I've been meeting with mentors and advisors, getting their input on my business ideas. It's been exciting to think about the future and what I can achieve. I feel like I'm on the right path, and I'm determined to make the most of this opportunity. Just when I thought I had uncovered everything, I received another surprise. My biological mom's lawyer found a journal she had kept during her pregnancy. Reading through her thoughts and feelings brought me even closer to her. It was like having a conversation with her, learning about her hopes, fears, and dreams for me. One entry that really stood out was when she talked about feeling scared and unsure about becoming a mother, but also incredibly hopeful and excited about the future. It made me realize just how much she cared about me, even before I was born. My grandmother's support has been a huge relief. It's good to know that there's someone else in my corner. With her backing, I feel even more determined to finish my degree and take full control of my future. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm focusing on my education, rebuilding trust with my family, and making sure my brother and I have a stable and happy life. It's been a crazy journey, but I'm hopeful for what the future holds. This whole experience has taught me so much about resilience, boundaries, and the importance of having a strong support system. It hasn't been easy, but I feel stronger and more prepared for whatever comes next. I'm grateful for the support from this community. You all have been a lifeline during some of the toughest times. Unwavering support and advice. Your encouragement has been a beacon of light through some of the darkest times. I'll keep you updated on how things progress. Here's to hoping for more stability, peace, and happiness moving forward. Thanks again, everyone, for sticking with me through all of this. Your support means the world to me, and I'll be sure to keep you posted on any new developments. Here's to brighter days ahead.